Welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about two sketchbooks I worked on when I was in the Spanish city of Terrassa. Terrassa is an industrial city in the past and now still. There's a University of Engineering there, lots of modernist buildings. It's got about 250,000 people living there. It doesn't feel that touristy, but there's lots of really lovely historical buildings there, as well as just the everyday life, and also parks and things like that. So I'm starting off with the this one. I did a course when I was there, Pushing Your Sketching Boundaries course with Isabel Carmona, Olivia Marcus and Isabel Sidell. So we'll talk about that first. So I had this beautiful book made for the course. We've got a section here to put your worksheets and things in, the handouts that we had, and then it's an accordion book, and I'll just go through it as we did it. So this was the first workshop with Olivia. She uses it coloured inks, and it's all about the little areas you get where the inks cross over, a bit like a sort of printing process, I suppose, really. This was just trying it out, adding different colours. Excuse me. This was all done on location, but you can see it's very vibrant. So with each of the instructors, we had two sessions. This was the start of the session with Isabel. We were drawing some of the architecture there, and then drawing each other. It was all about keeping everything very loose. This was in one of the gardens. I think it was one of the, not the town hall, but a very important building in the city, and it had these beautiful gardens at the back. So I just tried to do some of the steps and some of the trees. So I'll turn it round now and get the second part of it. So this was with Isabel Sidell, and her workshops were really interesting. She has done a lot of study into colours, colour theory, and I learned an awful lot in her lessons. I didn't actually do a lot of work, but I found it like very inspiring, very useful. So he talked about how the balance of colours within a picture, the sort of the ones that go together. She used a colour wheel, and I have actually bought one since, and it's quite interesting to go into. It's something I've not studied a great deal, but I think it will really help my work. One of the days we went out together and went to it was like a sort of very big antiques market, but there were lots of little stores and restaurants and things there. It was in a place called Sant Cugat. So this was one of the buildings which looked very sort of like tropical to me and very lovely. We sat and had lunch opposite it, so it was a chance to draw. And this one was a big, let me move it across. This was another big, the antique stores, but they had lots of big pieces, and this big stand here looked like a bandstand, but a sort of small one, and lots of things all around. So that was really nice. The guy that owned it brought me out a chair so I could get comfortable and draw it, which is really nice. And then this one at the end, in Sant Cugat we walked down and there's a big monastery, so I did a little bit of that, and yeah. So the second workshop I had with Isabel, we were drawing in Parc de Valparadis. These were just like 10-minute little thumbnails to try and get an idea of what we were going to do for a bigger piece, and that's in the next book, so I'll just put this one back. See, it's really a really lovely book, and then it sort of have a band on it as well. So now we've come into my sort of more usual book that I like to use, the Stillman and Byrne one. So as coming from the lesson with Isabel, this was another drawing from this Parc de Valparis, which is sort of like a park in sort of like a gorge. Like obviously historically there was a river running through it, but there wasn't there anymore, and there'd be this lovely park in there. It's a bit like what there is in Valencia, but much deeper and a much older gorge area sort of thing. I'm calling it a gorge. I think something like that. You had to go down anyway into it, and then it was a flat at the bottom. Had this beautiful wisteria here, which was nice, and I tried to like bring that forward to shape everything else in. See, I've got some labels as well. Trying out the low alcohol lager. This was in when we had one of the meals one day. There's lots of lovely food to eat. This was another workshop with Olivia. We're just sampling out the different inks and deciding which combination we would use. And then we did a bigger piece, putting down the ink first and then working on top of it. This was in one of the squares, Plaza Vela. We also met up with the Urban Sketches Terrassa group on Easter Sunday and drew this very old church here. Apparently goes back the site over 2,000 years, and the custodians of it now are trying to get World Heritage status. This was another impressive building, and modernista building. I'm probably going to say this wrong, but I'll say Masha Frixa. It was an old factory. I've got another drawing of it in a minute. And then it was turned into a home, and now it's the Tourist Information Office. But it wasn't open when we were there. But it was, you could glance over the top to sort of see it. The architect was Luis Muncinel y Paraleda. I'll print it on the screen so that you know, so you don't have to have my pronunciation. Also, there was lots of these flats, and I thought I'd try Olivia's method, but with watercolour. So I painted this orangey colour underneath and then drew on top. There's this lovely dog with a kerchief as he walked past, so I put him in the picture, and the buses as well. This is another piece of architecture by Luis Muncinel. It's the Engineering College, part of the university building. Quite a stunning one. And this is another view of the Massia Frixa, the one I showed a couple of pages ago. This one, a different angle of it. Like I said, there was lots of things going on at the moment, at the time we were there, but you still got an idea of these beautiful roofs. It was really impressive. Yeah, really nice. And that was all my ones from Terrassa. So I hope you've enjoyed looking through them. I'm going to put a few little clips of the city to finish off the video, just so you get an idea about it. Somewhere I hadn't been to before, and I don't know if it's going to become more popular, but I think there's lots of lovely things about it there. I really enjoyed the people there. Everyone was very lovely. So thank you for watching. Bye.